Hello, everyone, and welcome to Valley Homes on TV. I'm Debbie Giordano, along with Todd Flesner.
Hey, Deb.
Hi, Todd. How are you?
Great.
Great. You folks can catch us on Channel 26 right here on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6:30 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday at 9 a.m. Actually, I was just talking to Ellen. We've been doing this show for about 5 years.
You know, it just flies by, doesn't it?
It does.
It's been a lot of fun. We get a chance to meet a lot of different folks in the community.
We do. We've traveled around and we've talked to different people and what makes Milpitas great, and also bringing value to homeowners on ideas and that can improve their home value or their home resale value. So.
Absolutely.
So with that in mind, you brought a guest.
I did. I'd like to introduce a friend of mine, Cindy Hofen, and Cindy owns a company called Managing Moves and More. And so we get a chance to talk to her about what she does to help homeowners with downsizing and reorganizing and all sorts of things. So welcome, Cindy.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. Well, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe a little your background and where you come from.
Okay. So I grew up in San Diego. Spent all my time at the beach. It was great. And then I went to college in Santa Barbara. I got my master's degree in international business in Arizona, and through a lot of roundabout, I ended up here in Mountain View. I lived there. I've lived in the same home for 22 years, which is impossible to believe. But I live with my husband and my 2 daughters.
Nice. Well, so 22 years you've lived in this area.
Mm-hmm.
What brought you to the area? What keeps you here?
Boy, having grown up in California, there's just no place like home. And I was fortunate to be transferred here from Dallas, where I was working, and then I worked here for 5 years, and then I retired from the corporate world. I stay because as much as I've looked, I can't find any place that is any better than this. So.
We know the weather's good, too.
Yes.
Well, those of us who are baseball teams, we've had a good run here recently, too, with our Giants.
That's fun. That's fun.
You have to plug those Giants in there.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad that you've made the Bay Area home for such a long time. And so we'll talk a little bit about your business. You had a corporate background, but how long have you had this business, Managing Moves and More? And tell us a little bit more about what that business does.
Okay. So I started the business almost 7 years ago, and basically what we do is we do all things related to organizing, downsizing, relocation, and home dispersal. Okay. We also do a little home staging light, so if clients are selling their home but they don't want to do a full stage, we can bring in all the nice pretty bling things to make it look nice.
Nice, yeah, that's good. I've encountered that with some of my clients. So.
Yeah. They like to sleep in their own bed and sit on their own couch, so we can help do that.
Well, good. Well, now, what got you into that field?
Who knew that people did this? But 10 years ago, I went to visit my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law's 88. She lives in Wichita, and she had to move out of her home of 55 years. But her health was not good enough for her to do it, and my sister-in-law worked full-time. So we went back and basically did everything I did today, where we helped her downsize, figure out what she was going to keep, helped her disperse what was left, and then we moved her and we completely set up her new home so it looked just like where she came from.
Wow.
Just a little bit smaller. And when she walked in, she started crying because she was so happy. And that was... I knew that was something I loved to do.
Well, it sounds like that's a talent, kind of a sixth sense that you have about being able to do that relocation and that process. So tell us about some of the clients. What are the clients that you work with, and what do you do for them?
So the typical client will have lived in their house anywhere from 30, 40 to 50 years. They are considering a move for many reasons. It might be health. It might be kids saying, Mom and Dad, I think you should move. It might be they're not getting enough social activity. So there's lots of reasons why they might consider moving. And then what we'll do is we'll go in and kind of create the roadmap for them and help them work their move from beginning to end.
Okay.
So we'll get a floor plan, and that kind of becomes our map, and then we know from there what'll fit and what won't fit.
Wow.
and then everything else we help disperse.
Wow.
But imagine for somebody that you've described there who's been in their home for 30, 40 years or so, that's quite a process to go through. In fact, it might be kind of overwhelming for people.
That's, people we find really become almost a prisoner of their stuff when they've lived in their homes for so long. And it is overwhelming to think, boy, I'm going to move, but what am I going to do with everything? And so we really break the process down into parts so we only have to look at one thing at a time. And you talked about a sixth sense. It really does take a lot of that to know and kind of read a client and get to know them and know that's something they really want to take or know that's something they think they want. And so we're really good, and my staff is really good about kind of helping them gently along the way.
Okay. So I deal with a lot of clients that are actually moving. So how then are you so different, say, from a moving company in relocating that way?
So a moving company comes in your house, they pack what they see, including your trash and your toothpicks in the drawer, and they deliver it and they unload it and leave it in the house. That, for us, that's a small part of what we do. That's just one piece. We work starting at the very beginning to help the client, and we want them to bring the things they want and need, but we don't want them to bring extra. So we help downsize, which means the moving cost itself will be lower. And then at the other side, we set up a new client's home typically in one day. So they'll sleep at home the night before. The delivery truck comes in the morning, picks up everything, and then by about 6 o'clock the next day when they walk in, no boxes, no paper, their beds are made, their kitchen's ready to have guests. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, and I know when you and I have talked before, even down to the detail, having the alarm clock on the same side of the bed as it was at home.
Absolutely. We call those mirror moves, and what we find with our clients is if things are in the same place at the new house as they were in the old house, then they always know where the remote's going to be, and they always know where the alarm is going to be, and so they're comfortable immediately in that new environment.
Okay,
Great.
let's talk about the decluttering
Yes.
process. And
Yes.
that's huge. And like you talked about clients that are in their homes 30, 40, 50 years, and they're either downsizing or maybe, God forbid, going to senior housing or, subsidized type of housing.
Right.
So do you do an estate sale or again, how are you different from an estate sale process?
Estate sales, every client has different needs. And every client has an idea of what they want to do with their things or what they want to happen. One of the things we do right up front is set expectations. And I tell clients it's not a great resale market. So a lot of your things may not be worth much, even though you think they are. So that's one of the expectations that we set. Some people know that they can get value for their things and maybe they'll make a couple $1,000s or whatever. A lot of clients would rather know that the things they love and they've had for years will go to the next best place. Will go to a charity where somebody will be able to use them and enjoy them after they have used them and enjoy them. And they get the donation receipts.
Okay.
And then go from there.
Okay.
Good. Well, do you have some tips for someone who's thinking about decluttering or downsizing that might help them with that process?
Start small. Start early. And just do a little at a time. Start in the room where you go the least. And really what decluttering, what really helps you is start having a vision for what the next phase of your life looks like and kind of what you want that to be, what you want to be doing. And so then when you start decluttering, you know that if you don't want to knit anymore, you can get rid of the needles and you can get rid of the yarn. But if you want to, make a movie, then you'll keep your camera. So it's really about first, where are you going? What is it you want to do? And then things start falling into place because either they fit in that picture or they don't.
So what do you find are some of the major challenges you have dealing with clients?
They want to take everything. And, it's really tough. And it's always a process. Sometimes they They downsize after they move in. Sometimes they'll get a storage unit, which we don't always like to do because it's basically getting a storage unit is kicking the can down the road as far as decision making.
Agree.
So that's really the struggle, and we really try to say, now you don't need 5 sets of china. So it's kind of it's that kind of the dance we do with a client and kind of understanding them and knowing that they really want their stuff to be taken care of that they've had. So
Good. Well, what are some of the rewards? What do you like best about what you do with folks?
here's the very best thing about doing what we do. I have a staff of caring, compassionate, great people. We work with a client for so long. There's so many stages, and the best part of what we do is when they're living in their new house and it's all set up, their home is empty, and they look at us and they say, "We couldn't have done it without you." That's why they do it, and that's why I do it, because we know we help somebody who couldn't have done it themselves and made them happy. So.
Great. Terrific. So, look, crystal ball, the future. What do you plan to do with your company? You're going to expand? Or, what do you see for your future goals and aspirations?
My business has always grown organically. We get a lot of referrals. We work with senior communities all up and down the peninsula. Past clients will refer us. What I would really like to do is have people more aware of the service, especially seniors who might be alone and can't do the move themselves, that there are people out there that they can trust, that can help them and can work with them side by side through this. And I'll just let my business grow as it grows, and as long as I have the right people, then I'll expand.
Okay. Well, let's say someone out there wants some more information, or they have questions. Maybe they've got a parent or somebody that they're thinking about, or a friend they'd like some more information for. How could they get in contact with you?
They can go to my website, which is www.managingmoves.com, and there's all kinds of information there, and you can learn more about it there.
How about phone number? Or?
My phone number is 650-450-0928.
Well, Cindy, it's been a pleasure to
Thank you.
Learn some more about a very unique field and one that's really needed, especially in this area. So.
Well, Cindy, again, thank you for being our guest. We enjoyed having you, and thanks for sharing your information with our viewers.
Thank you. Thank you. It's
Good luck to you.
It's been a pleasure.
The following is a public service announcement test to determine if you need a fishing license and boat registration before you head out on the water. Let us begin. Are you a pelican? Does this look like your house? Is this your idea of fishing with friends? Do you use your feet as fishing hooks? Are you your own boat? Do you have webbed feet? No, I mean like a... That's the one. Do you want this in your favorite lake? Yuck, yike. No thanks, mister. Regardless how you answered, you need to be licensed and registered because it helps local conservation efforts protect the very natural resources you enjoy boating and fishing in for generations to come. Do your part at takemefishing.org.
We're the rise to every challenge type. The nothing is impossible type. The type that knows the time will come when we put type 1 behind us. We're the plan for a cure type. The improve life along the way type. The type that will stop at nothing until type 1 becomes type none.
Can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me something. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
All of us want to make a difference. As veterans, we committed to protect our country. We served and sacrificed for the things that mattered most. Those experiences shaped our lives, even if it isn't always obvious to those around us. And now that we've served, our commitments have taken on a new meaning. We're husbands, wives, parents, friends, and neighbors, but sometimes we still feel alone. We forget that our biggest challenge can be to ask for support when we need it. The Veterans Crisis Line is here for all veterans, service members, and their loved ones. Dial 1-800-273-8255 and press 1. Chat online at veteranscrisisline.net or text 838-255. It matters.
Welcome back, everyone. Todd Flesner here with Debbie and here Giordano, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's been going on in the real estate world here recently.
Yes, recently got some information from the National Association of Realtors. One of my colleagues had attended the national meeting and brought back some interesting stats, and I'll be happy to share that with you.
Oh, terrific.
Okay, although this is these are national numbers and local numbers do vary a little bit, but generally 70% of those surveyed expect real estate business to increase next year. Builder confidence is up. Consumer confidence is up. Maybe you'll agree with some of these things. Mm-hmm. Pending and existing sales of homes are a little bit shorter than they were in 2013. I thought this is a national number. The Federal Reserve Bank estimates the national average net worth of a renter at $5,500 and the average net worth of a homeowner of $195,000. So home ownership pays off.
Certainly does.
Renters are facing higher rent prices. We've certainly seen that in the Valley here recently. First-time home buyers are beginning to shrink in terms of their numbers. 75% of the Gen Y population still believe home ownership is important. I thought that's cool. Gross domestic product will remain below 3%. Interest rates are predicted, and maybe you'll concur with this, to be about 4.5% by the end of 2015. Actually, that's a typo. It's 4.9%. Rents are rising by 3% per year. Household net worth is at an all-time high, and future population birth rates are falling. Legal immigration will create a boom, and the median price growth is at 4% annual. That's a national average. I think we're seeing a little bit higher than that, and I'll talk about the growth in the numbers after you talk about interest rates. So.
Right, so yeah, some interesting things there. Yeah, and I think that we are seeing some expansion in the economy at this point in time, and that, of course, then spills over into real estate. And a lot of times real estate is on the leading edge of some of those indicators of what people are experiencing in their pocketbook.
So where are we at today with interest rates?
Interest rates are still fantastic. We're in the low 4s. 4% for a 30-year fixed up to $417,000. And just slightly higher for the high balance conforming 625. You can actually get a jumbo loan today, 30-year jumbo loan, up to $2 million at 4%.
Wow, and you about need the $2 million with the way the home prices are going, but
one of the things I am starting to see is some loosening up in the jumbo financing arena. The underwriting is still looked at real closely. But we're starting to see some expansion in jumbo programs. And so, for instance, that $2 million loan, you can get into that with as little as 20%. That had been very restricted before, been restricted up to about $1 million with 20% down. Anything over that would take 25 or 30% down. So we're starting to see some loosening.
Why is that? What caused the loosening up?
Well, I think that what investors have seen and what banks have seen is the folks who have the capacity to have that sort of loan amount, the performance of those loans in their portfolio has been very good. And so they have that history, they're tracking that, and so they were able to expand those guidelines a little bit. For instance, we now have a loan 15% down, up to $1.5 million.
Nice.
And so, that's an example of how that's starting to loosen up now.
Okay.
So that's a good sign.
That's a good sign. Anything in the horizon? Do you agree with the National Association of Realtors where the interest rates will rise a little bit more through next year?
Yeah, I think that we'll probably see a little bit of an increase here in interest rates. That wouldn't be too much of a surprise, but I think it's going to be moderate. I think our growth outlook, they talked about 3% GDP, which is moderate growth, which is going to keep maybe some moderate increase in interest rates. The Federal Reserve Board has ended what they refer to as their quantitative easing, or QE, program. And I've been watching interest rates real closely with that, and we haven't seen rates go up yet as a result. Okay. But they're also then now starting to signal that they're going to start to perhaps increase the prime rate, the short-term interest rate policy, and that may be coming up this spring.
Okay, and that should impact somewhat of the interest rates then?
It'll impact the overall interest rate environment. Again, that short-term interest rate policy that the Fed has is not directly related to interest rates for home loans. It will be more in the global sort of financial picture.
Okay.
And so it's one of those things that the tide starts to rise a little bit as those interest rates go up, but you won't see a direct correlation one-to-one.
All right. Well, we certainly have had some price increases year over year. Let me tell you what's going on in Milpitas, the local market. And if you had a home and you owned it in October of 2013, you've had quite a bit of appreciation. Single-family homes were at $731,000 last year at this time. Median price was $682,000. That has jumped now to $782,000 for an average price, and median price of $738,000.
Well, and so that's reflected in those NAR net worth numbers that you talked about there.
Absolutely. And condos, it still continues to amaze me, even though we have so much overbuilding of. Renee even talked about the fact that the community has changed in terms of housing and where people are living in close quarters.
Right. Well, all the new development that's going on is, packed in closer to transit, right? Much higher density, right? Right. So it's just a change in.
And these numbers, Todd, are resales, so they're older product. But last year, the condo average. The median price was $454,000. I'm sorry. Average and median were both the same, $454,000. That's jumped to average price of $517,000 for average, and median price is $540,000. Isn't that incredible?
Well, the percentage increase there in the condo market has been incredible.
Market is still good. Interest rates are good. Open houses are heavily trafficked. Offers are coming in, they're trickling in. There's not the huge demand of, the demand is there, but I think buyers are a little weary. They've searched all year, and I think they're going to come back out in a few more months.
Well, there's a seasonal impact to that somewhat as well. There tends to be that warm weather buying season, right? And as we enter more into the holidays, people's focus sometimes will shift.
But, days on market is still excellent, and the market is still just incredible right now. So.
Well, and, I've always told folks that, during the holidays is not a bad time to be looking for a home.
Not a bad time to be looking or selling a home.
That's correct.
Absolutely.
Well, we're glad folks have joined in. If they have questions about the show, or...
Oh, yeah, they can email me at Giordano, GIORDANODJ, @AOL.com. And Todd, where can you be reached?
T. Flesner at opusadvisors.com, and we'll get that up on the screen.
Well, listen, you have a nice Thanksgiving with your family.
Thank you.
And we'll tape one more show, and then we'll be off and running until 2015.
Great. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and happy holidays, everybody out there.
Thank you.